WIBTA if I told my husband he has to choose between me and his friend. I've, 37F, been with my husband, 44M, for 17 years. We have kids, a dog, and we used to own a business together. He has this friend, who happens to be his little brother's ex-girlfriend, 30F. She's been in and out of our lives since she broke up with my BIL over 12 years ago. Over the last 4 years or so, she's been constantly messaging my husband. She never sends me a message, unless my husband tells her that he's not home and she's on her way. Happened only once in 4 years. She's engaged and has a baby on the way. Both my husband and his friend say they have a brother-sister relationship. My kids don't like her or her kid. Her kid is 7 years younger than our youngest child. They feel like they have to babysit her when she comes over. This is what bothers me about their relationship. I am never included in their conversations online, even when she invites herself over. My husband once told his brother that he thought that she was hot and if he was younger and single he would try to date her. My BIL sent me a message to warn me about their relationship. When I spoke to my husband about it, he laughed it off and told me his brother was jealous. During an intimate moment my husband told me that she was the only person he would ever ask to do a threesome with us. That was never discussed between us before, not even the option of a threesome. When she comes over, she barely speaks directly to me, always to my husband. I have to butt into the conversation for her to even acknowledge me. I'm tired of feeling like the third wheel in their friendship. Last year he gave me one of his old cell phones because mine had broken. He hadn't logged out of his Messenger account so I used it to my advantage and read their messages at the time. He had admitted to her that he had told his brother that she was hot and that if he was younger and single he would date her. He then told her I wasn't home when he said that and I didn't know exactly what he said. Her response was to send him this emoji. Ever since, I feel like they both occasionally disrespect me in their conversations. All he does is talk about her. Often. He never makes her wait when she texts him. Yet sometimes when I text him, he takes a half hour to answer me. So tell me, would I be the a-hole if I told him that he had to choose between his relationship with me and his friend? Update. We've had several talks over the last few weeks. At first he wanted to work things out. As a matter of fact, he says he never meant any of it and he keeps apologizing for breaking my trust. Now he's being a plain dick. Then he flipped and decided that since I don't want to work on things he left for his brother's house. He hasn't seen our kids in the past month. He talks to them on the phone but that's about it. So far, to piss me off, he's cut mine and the kids' cell phone service, so I had to get us new SIM cards for that because otherwise we wouldn't have phones. He's refused to pay anything in regards to school supplies and uniforms. He doesn't want to give me a dime. He hasn't done his taxes this year, which means I won't get any family allowance, CCTB, which cuts me $1,800 a month on my budget. I was able to sign the kids up for a local school supply distribution. The only thing they don't help with is the uniforms. Thankfully only my older two need uniforms. My oldest has some old uniform shirts that will be passed down to my other child. Which means my daughter will be wearing her older brother's shirts. She's really annoyed by the situation and has been giving me lots of attitude about it, but at the moment I can't afford t-shirts at $35 a piece with the school's logo on it, so she has no choice. Unfortunately uniforms are mandatory. I spoke to his friend as well. I told her everything that was going on. He told her he left me because I cheated on him, which isn't true, and she blames herself for what happened. Personally I just think she was putting on a show. I haven't spoken to her since. If you ask me, I still think she is a hypocrite. Finances are tough. I barely make ends meet. Thankfully food banks exist because once rent is paid, I barely have anything left over for bills and groceries. I still haven't been able to get the money for a lawyer yet. I've tried taking loans, but that didn't go over well. I've tried the borrow sub and that hasn't worked either. Now it's like we're in a state of Cold War. He refuses to talk to me. For the time being. I guess he'll come around eventually. For the kids' sake I hope. I feel like sometimes I'm drowning in all this mess. Edit. Lots of comments have come up on this post. I didn't expect as many comments. I've read as many as I can and I'll address a few points. He's gone to stay with his other brother. The second one in the family. My STBX is the oldest of 3. It's the youngest of his brothers who told me what's up. I filed my taxes back in March. He was supposed to file his a few weeks later. At the time everything was good between us and I listed him as my spouse because that's what we've been doing for the past 17 years since we got married. I have to file my next taxes as single. The school uniforms. My oldest kids are in high school. A public high school. Uniforms are mandatory across the school board. I've contacted the school and unfortunately they don't have any low-cost uniforms. They suggested I take a look at local thrift shops. They do have an emergency budget for uniforms, but only if you have recently arrived in the country. I've contacted several lawyers. I know what my rights are. I know how much it's going to cost me to take him to court. He's quit his job, so suing him for alimony or whatever is going to be tough. I don't qualify for legal aid based on previous taxes. It takes at least 90 days of him being out of the family home for me to do anything against him. He's been gone for less than 2 weeks. As for family, I have been no contact with my parents since 2010. They do not know my younger children, nor do they care. I won't be getting into the reasons why here. His family has always been low contact with us. His parents have never liked me, and his brother who is staying with doesn't like me either. Edit 2. For those who are saying that the timeline doesn't add up. I left with my 4 kids at the beginning of July to visit my elderly grandmother who doesn't live in the same province as us. It was supposed to give us breathing time to try and work things out. When I came back with the kids, he was already gone. When I was at my grandmother's, he would barely talk to me, but talked to our kids via Messenger. My trip with the kids to my grandmother's is a yearly trip. I didn't know that he would go from wanting to stay and work things out to leaving. I was blindsided by that. Edit 3. I do have a PayPal account. I'm not going to start making posts on FB blasting him. I'm not setting up a GoFundMe either. I don't want him finding anything out. I don't want to get charged with trying to ruin his reputation either. I don't want him to have anything to use against me in court. Update 2. It's been a long while since I've updated everyone about what's going on. It's been almost 8 long months since he left. Everyone was right when they said he would end up with her. They got married in a civil ceremony on Christmas Day. The only time he asked me for the kids was for the 2 weeks during Christmas break. He wanted them there for his wedding apparently. He barely talks to the kids now. The kids text him several times a week to let him know what's up with school and their activities. He barely answers them. When he does, he complains about how I won't let him take them overnight. He still posts pictures of his new family daily on social media. They are still taking weekend trips and all that. I hate how he's flaunting everything for our older kids to see. Our oldest is going to college in the fall, and he's worried about covering his school fees. When he tried talking to his dad about it, his dad told him that now he's almost an adult, so it's not his problem anymore. I did take him to court. I found myself a good lawyer who took on my case for free. We had our first court date last week. It went well. I got full custody of the kids. We have another court date to determine child support. He's still not working legally, so the judge is having a hard time setting an amount for child support. So far, all the documents he brought to court show that he is on welfare and that his new wife pays their rent, bills and vacations. I don't buy any of that. Neither does the court. He's ordered by the court to provide documentation that he's done his taxes this year and he has to try and place himself within the job market in a reasonable amount of time in order to provide for the children he does have. Our next court date is in April. Hopefully he's going to get his shit sorted out. As for me, I'm still working 2 jobs to make ends meet. I'll be moving next month with the kids into an apartment in a co-op building. My rent will be much lower than what I am paying now. I'm stressing out about my finances. Moving is expensive. I have to hire a company to help me move all our stuff. Plus, with my son starting college soon, summer break and all that, I'm stressed out all day, every day. All I see are expenses coming up. I'm still exhausted all the time. I work more than I am at home with my kids. I hope that within the next year, things get better for us. I've started my own small business online. Hopefully that picks up too. I haven't started dating either. I'm not interested in meeting anyone yet. For those of you who wrote to me saying I blew up my life and family and called me the a-hole in this situation, I don't think I was the a-hole. I deserve better. If I am to ever update this again, it will be on my own page.